All right, so we finally started working on the map, and this video is going to cover the progress that we made so far and the next milestone that we're going to be working towards. So starting off with the progress that we've made so far, there were 3 comments on Reddit that basically tied for the #1 spot. The first suggestion was a bridge with the death pit under it. The second suggestion was starting at some docks and pushing through a market. And then the third suggestion was taking the bad water formula outlined in the last video, flipping it on its head, and starting on the high ground and pushing downhill. And because all 3 of these were so close in votes and it's hard to tell on Reddit, just because of the way the upvoting system works, it's kind of inconsistent, I decided I was going to have Twitch chat vote on these options. And they ended up voting for option number 2, which is starting at the docks. So we went ahead and moved forward with that. Initially, we were going to have blue spawn on a boat, as the original idea suggested, but we kind of had trouble figuring out how to make this fit the setting of a small Japanese town. We tried some docks, we tried a sandy beach. Eventually, we just ended up scrapping the idea because we couldn't figure it out. So instead, we decided to move forward with blue spawning in some buildings just above the water after searching for some reference images. And I liked this image so much that I decided to find out where it was taken. And that's how Ine Kyoto became the inspiration for the map. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but yeah. So with that in mind, we got to work creating blue spawn in the surrounding area. We decided the cart moved through a street with buildings lining either side. And the plan was to have most of the roofs accessible to all the classes, and the idea behind that was that it would create a lot more gameplay space, even though the cart would have to go through the street below. So we wanted to be sure that blue could access the roofs right out of spawn as well, so we went ahead and created the second floor exit. And we made the door small intentionally so that blue couldn't push out the entire team, and it was kind of easier to spam. So it's kind of a trade-off. Like, yeah, you can come out here and get this high ground, but your whole team can't push out. But it turns out, after we built the second story exit, we decided that only one side of the street was going to have accessible roofs. So it turns out the spawn exit doesn't actually give blue the access that we were hoping it would. However, if you look at the other side of the map, we wanted to give blue a route to get up top on these roofs. So we started with an S-shaped ramp, but quickly turned that into an L shape with a tunnel on one side. And we added the tunnel to give blue a direct route to the flank, as opposed to having to go up and over. It just seemed kind of redundant. We wanted to be able to just go directly through there. Around that time, we noticed a lot of these ideas were coming from a blue team perspective, so we started to look more at Red's defense. And we decided we wanted to have this elevated area right out of the spawn, which could be spammed by blue from multiple positions, and then it leads into this building, which acts as a forward base for Red if they can get an active engineer set up in here. So we placed health and ammo on the ground level outside of this building, so the engineers couldn't just turtle behind their sentries and never have to leave this room. They'd have to actually get out and expose themselves to get more metal. As for this little area where the health and ammo are, we wanted to keep it pretty small so that it would be more susceptible to spam from the blue team. Kind of like a high risk area to enter with the reward being health and ammo. As we started focusing on the actual capture point, we decided we wanted Red to have a good place to defend from, and with that in mind, we created this large building practically right on top of the point. It provides good cover for Red since they can't be seen as blue pushes around the corner. We wanted to make this building slightly more difficult for blue to access, and as a result, easier for Red to hold, so we added a window at the back and a skill jump towards the front. After we blocked everything out, we went ahead with our first playtest, which of course had a broken door, so after fixing it and recompiling, we were able to get a decent idea of how the map played. We played maybe about 8 or 9 rounds, and out of all of those rounds, Red only held once, and that was when they had an engineer holding this front building really, really well. In payload, you want the points to get progressively harder, so first is kind of a freebie for blue, but I always want a good team to be able to hold any point. I would say that the first point should have about an 80% win rate for blue, and then slowly step down until the last point is about 50-50. For the first point that we made, we had about a 90% win rate for blue, which we felt was a little too high, so we made some adjustments to help Red. One of the first things we did was move the point back slightly further. And this makes it so blue has to push past this opening as opposed to just scraping the corner. They kind of have to expose themselves to Red team if they're holding this building. We also took the small health and ammo that were sitting outside of the building and moved it inside, as well as upgrading the health to a medium health pack. We then went ahead and created a small platform on the other side of the point with health and ammo to give Red another option to defend. We weren't really expecting anyone to hold this side very well, but giving a Red a little bit of high ground and more health could only help. Moving closer to blue spawn, we felt the high ground was a little too high, and it wasn't even necessarily helping Red, so we went ahead and lowered it as well as the roof above this section. You can sometimes see that a height advantage is too much, and fall off actually reduces the damage, so that your rockets or your hit scan weapons or whatever just aren't as effective if you're too far away. So by dropping the roof, we made it easier for blue to counterattack, as well as making Red more effective at dealing damage from this position. The last adjustment we made was near blue's left spawn exit. The staircase allowed blue to access the roofs really quickly without much resistance, So red players would be trying to hold the roof, but blue could just push through and it's like it wouldn't even matter. So we went ahead and flipped the staircase around, making it so blue would have to go through the tunnel and then through this little open exposed area before they could access the roof. The idea behind this is that it'd take longer and red could hold the roof a little bit better. So all of these changes were made with the idea of making the first point just a little bit harder for blue to capture. And did it work? That's the question. Well, we went ahead and played multiple rounds on the new map, and it seemed like it had the desired effect. So everybody really liked the changes. We agreed it felt better to play on red team, and blue still won the majority of games, but a lot of them came down to the last 30 seconds or minute or so. And that's what we want. We want the first point to be fun for both teams, but we also want there to be just a little bit of a fighting chance for red, but blue still wins most of the time. Of course, the map is still new. Everybody's still learning what works, so we might have to make some changes later as the map gets further in development. But for right now, I'm really happy with how the first point is looking. So that leads us to our next milestone. Over the next several days, we're going to start mapping out the second point. And this is going to include a better look at red's first spawn, as well as the area leading up to the point and the point itself. So if you want to contribute to the second point, please head over to the subreddit, leave a comment in the main thread. Or if I'm streaming, swing by the stream, leave your feedback in the chat, and we'll vote on it and we'll see what we can do. So to give some suggestions, a lot of people have been suggesting that we push the cart uphill into a more forested mountainous area. So we're going to fill this area with more traditional Japanese architecture, such as that seen in Suijin. This is just what's been proposed so far. If you guys have better ideas, we would love to hear it. Like I said, post it on the subreddit. So that's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And again, if you're interested in getting involved, join the subreddit, Discord, follow me on Twitch and Twitter, and we'll get going. So thank you all so much for watching this. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one.